Hi students, let's start today's class with irrational numbers. Okay, a number is is called an irrational number if it is number is called an irrational number if it cannot be represented. It cannot be represented in the form of P by Q. Okay. So a rational number is a number if it cannot be represented in the form of P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q not equal to 0. We learned a rational number is a number which can be represented in the form of P by Q. Irrational number, a number which cannot be represented in the form of P by Q. Now, I'll give you examples for that. Root 2, root 3, root 5, then 1.01010110 like that. These are all examples of irrational numbers. Now, let's see how to differentiate between rational and irrational number. Differentiate between rational and irrational numbers. Okay. Now, I told you already rational numbers can be represented in the form of P by Q and irrational numbers cannot be represented in the form of P by Q. Okay. Now, let's recall what we have learned in your earlier class, last year, 8th standard, perfect square numbers, right? Now, let's recall that. What is 1 square? 1 into 1, that's 1. What is 2 square? 2 into 2, that's 4. 3 square, 3 into 3, 9. 4 square, 4 into 4, 16. So, 1, 4, 9, 16 are perfect square numbers. You recall that, okay? Now, what is root 1? You know root 1 is equal to plus or minus 1, right? So, we'll take the positives alone. What is root 1? Root 1 is 1, right? Square root of 1 is 1. Actually, plus or minus 1, we'll take it now plus 1. And what is root 4? Root 4 is 2. What is root 9? Root 9 is 3. What is root 16? Root 16 is 4. Now, root 1, root 4, root 9 and root 16. It's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Right? Now 1, we can write it in the form of P by Q, isn't it? Now 2 can be written in the form of P by Q. Root 9 can be written in the form of P by Q. And root 16 can be written in the form of P by Q. Like that it goes on. But I told you the examples of irrational numbers are root 2, root 3, root 5, etc. Now consider the rational numbers. Root 2 is irrational numbers. Root 2, root 3, root 5, etc. Right? Now let's come in between these root 1 and root 4. In between root 1 and root 4 we have root 2 and root 3. Root 2 and root 3, can we write it in the form of P by Q? No. Actually its value is 1.414. When you do it in the square root you will get it. So this is an irrational number which you cannot represent root 2 in the form of P by Q. So it's an irrational number. Root 3 also you have values 1.73, like that. That also you cannot represent in the form of P by Q. So root 2, root 3 are irrational number. But when it comes for root 4, I told you root 4 is 2 plus or minus 2. We will take the positive. Root 2, even we can take minus 2, and so it minus 2 by 1. It's a rational number. Then after root 4, what will come? Root 5, root 6, root 7, root 8. So what is root 5, root 6, root 7, root 8 are irrational numbers. Okay. Now, what comes in between root 9 and root 16? Root 11, root 12, root 13, root 14, root 15. These are also irrational numbers. So, rational numbers are root 1, root 4, root 9 and root 16. That is the perfect square numbers. 1, 4, 9, 16 perfect square numbers. They can be written in the form of P by Q, whereas these numbers cannot be written in the form of P by Q. Therefore, these are irrational numbers. Hope it's clear for you children. So students, here is a tip for you to differentiate between rational and irrational number. Square root of perfect square numbers are rational numbers. Okay? So square root of 4, square root of 16, square root of 25, square root of 36. These are all rational numbers. And square root of non-perfect square numbers are irrational numbers. This is the main difference. It's very important for you to differentiate between rational and irrational number. Square root of perfect square numbers are rational numbers and square root of non-perfect square numbers are irrational numbers. Non-perfect squares like 5, then 8, 17, 23, like that. Non-perfect square numbers, square roots are irrational numbers. So rational and irrational numbers, hope it's clear for you. And you will be learning in your higher class, that means in the 10th standard, how to prove that root 2 is irrational, root 3 is irrational, root 5 is irrational. That proof is there in 10th standard. Now you just have an understanding what is an irrational number. Irrational number is a number which cannot be represented in the form of P by Q. Okay. Now we'll see what are real numbers. Okay. Now we have learned in the previous classes whole numbers, natural numbers, integers, rational numbers and irrational numbers. Okay. So all these numbers together are real numbers. So in short, the collection of rational and irrational numbers, the collection of rational and irrational numbers are real numbers. The collection of rational and irrational numbers are real numbers. Okay, children? So, make it sure that you have thorough with all these main points. Okay? Let me give you a few exercises. That is to differentiate. How do you differentiate between rational and irrational numbers? Okay? Okay, children. I'll give you exercise questions. Classify whether the following are rational or irrational number. Okay? Now, root 17. So, you write it whether it's rational or irrational. Root of 49. Okay? Third one, root of 11. Fourth one, root 225. Fifth one, 1.010010001, etc. Then next one, 0.5. Okay, 0.5. Think it and write whether it's a rational or irrational number. then root of 169. Okay, so you work out all this and just find out whether they are rational or irrational number. Okay, children. So today we are going to wind up our class with this. So learn thoroughly and practice it. Thank you, children.